Welcome to tonight's lecture on Ayurveda and application of Ayurveda in medical practice. It's a great joy for me to talk to you about this topic because it's been one of my main topics in my life for the last 25-30 years. And I have had the great joy of adopting Ayurveda in my family practice and using it with great success for the well-being of my patients. My practice is in Ried im Innkreis in Upper Austria, and we have about 20 people working in my practice. We are 2 doctors and Ayurvedic technicians and office, and we also have a stock of Ayurvedic products that is sent from our office to different places in Austria. Why, as a doctor or as somebody who's practicing modern medicine, could we think that something else than modern medicine could be necessary today? Now, we know that modern medicine is very successful in many regards, but there's also some shortcomings in modern medicine. Many doctors feel great pressure of new developments, and though being a doctor is still a profession of very high esteem in the general public, the tendency is not rising, but it's more towards falling. Doctors themselves judge their profession less positive than others do because they have a lot of stress, they feel pressure from technological development, from rising patient demand, from financial pressure from health insurance companies, and also they have to be aware of health expenses and increasing cost of living and many new developments in modern medicine they have to take care of. Now, this is something that creates pressure on the doctor, but this is not the only thing where there may be interest in other aspects of medicine. What we see when we see our health system is that we do not have a health system, but it's actually a disease administration system. When you ask a doctor, what did you learn about health in your medical school, the answer will be very short, because there's nothing about health. In studying medicine, it's all about disease. And you know from your own experience in life, whatever you put your attention, this will grow. This is very natural. When you put your attention on selling something, the sales will grow. If you put your attention on your garden will be more beautiful. And if doctors put all their attention on disease, diseases will grow. There will be more and more diseases, and treating them will be more and more expensive. And this is the problem of our time. So our health administration system aims at reducing diseases. So if you feel like -5, our disease administration system tries to bring you back to -1 or possibly to 0. But it's nothing about health and vitality. There's nobody who teaches you how to come from 0 to +10, how to be the best of what you could be or should be. And this is the biggest lack of medicine, and this is something where other systems of traditional medicine have a very big knowledge about. Now, doctors, as I said already, have a high social status, their income is above average, it's an academic challenge to be a doctor, And also there's lots of interesting professional activities. But there's also impediments to being a doctor. Among doctors, there's a very high job dissatisfaction, very high rate of suicides among the average population. There's a very high percentage of burnout syndromes, so many doctors are depressed in their lives. And also there's quite a dramatic loss of income as compared to many years ago, especially in the Western European countries. Now, there's different perspectives, as I told you, and one different perspective comes from the Vedas. The Vedas are the very old texts and scriptures of ancient India, and they deal with what they call the reality of life. And the Vedas call a doctor, they have two names for doctors. One is Vaidya, which means the one who knows, the knower, and the other one is Pishak, which means the healer. So a doctor has to be a knower of reality, a knower of total life, and he has to have healing power. And this is something that also is quite different from what doctors radiate today. Now, Ayurveda is part of the Vedas, and this word of Ayurveda consists of two word roots. Word root Ayu means life, but it means basically lifespan, and it means vitality. So and Veda means knowledge or science or systematic knowledge. So Ayurveda is the systematic knowledge of lifespan, it's the systematic knowledge of vitality. And Ayurveda does not only have a perspective on disease, Ayurveda also has a very interesting perspective on health or of health, and knows how to increase health. What are the main data and experiences when one has perfect health? Vedas are a very vast body of texts, of literature, and there are four main Vedas: Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and Atharva Veda. And research that was done about 10 years ago by Professor Dr. Tony Nader, Maharaj Nader, and his spiritual guidance through Maharishi Yogi, they found out that the Vedas, that are expression of reality of life, that express the totality of the creation, that they have every Veda has its own form and its own purpose. And when it's compared to the human physiology, we can find out that there is a correspondence in form, in purpose of every Veda in the human body. So the human body can be said to be a replica of the intelligence of nature. If Veda is the expression of intelligence of nature, the human body is also a replica of this expression of nature. So every single text of the Vedas has some representation in the human physiology, and this means for ourselves that we have the total intelligence of creation at our disposal. And this is something that Ayurveda aims at using, making us conscious of our possibilities in life. One of the main laws that are expressed in the Vedas is the law of reciprocity. And this says, as is the universe, so is the individual. As is the cosmos, as is the macrocosmos, so is the microcosmos. So there's always repetition of structures, of forms, of activities in different levels of creation. And the human physiology reflects the totality of creation. And not only the human physiology as a whole, even if we take a cell out of the human physiology, we will also find the whole in the part. So this finding the whole in the part is something that occurs everywhere, and this is something that is taken use of by Ayurveda. Ayurveda is originated in ancient India, and here we see a depiction of Rishi Atreya. He was one of the many rishis or Maharishis that met in the Himalayas to formulate the Ayurvedic texts. And what they did is that they, from their field of theoretical science, linguistics and mathematics, they structured medicine. And this medicine, this Ayurveda, is something that is the first and the oldest systematic or systemic medicine. They made a system out of medicine and made it repeatable and made it understandable through the laws of nature. And these disciples of Ayurveda, the disciples of Atreya and of the other rishis, they learned these texts. They were handed down from generation to generation of Vaidyas, and even now these texts are used in the same way as they were used many thousands years ago. And this is what gives us the confidence that Ayurveda is a completely traditional knowledge, that it is the same now as it was 2,000 or 3,000 years ago. So these are the main texts of Ayurveda: Charak Samhita, Sushrut Samhita, Vagpat Samhita. These are very big bodies of texts and they are still the basis of learning Ayurveda in the universities of India and also everywhere in the world. And there are smaller texts that only give part of Ayurveda. And these texts are very interesting because they have this very holistic picture of health, of disease, and of all the different therapies that can be used. Now, if something has been among human beings for such a long time, there are certainly different interpretations and ups and downs. And the history of Ayurveda had many ups and downs. For example, about 2,000 years ago, there was a University of Ayurveda near today's Indian city of Hyderabad in South India, and it was run by a Buddhist monk named Nagarjuna. And this university had more than 3,000 seats for medical students. And from there, Ayurveda spread it all over Asia. So when we hear about Thai medicine is only a local adaptation of Ayurveda to the Thai herbal system. When we hear of Cambodian medicine, of Tibetan medicine, of Arabian medicine, all these systems have their basic knowledge from Ayurveda. So Ayurveda can be certainly called the mother of medicine. And even if we look at modern medicine basically comes from the modern, or is grounded in the modern physical sciences, physics and chemistry. And these have their basis in alchemy, and alchemy also is very intensely connected to Ayurveda. So there's many interconnections between the different systems of medicine in Asia, and Ayurveda is the mother, the origin of most of these systems. So Ayurveda, we can say, is very old, very reliable. Ayurveda has not only had highs, it also had lows. And one of the lows was the time of the British rule in India, when Ayurveda was practically prohibited. And all the universities of Ayurveda were closed. And Ayurveda could only be taught from doctor to his student in the rural area and had no academic background. So when the British rule ended with the independence of India in the late 1940s, there was an upsurge of Ayurveda again. So many institutions were founded, and now Ayurveda is again part of the health system in India, and it's recovering its strength. But we have to know that Ayurveda is still not using its full strength in India. It's still kind of disconnected to some of the Vedic aspects that have been used in the long, long history of Ayurveda. And it needed the reconnection to yoga, to the field of consciousness through a Vedic expert. And this expert happened to be my personal teacher in meditation. This is Maharishi Yogi, whom I first met in 1973. And I visited many courses, attended many courses that he held. And in the early 1980s, I was on a meditation course in India, and I saw that Maharishi was meeting these three men, especially the one in the middle with the turban, Dr. Trigona. He was the president of All India Ayurvedic Congress by that time, and I wanted to find out what he was doing and visited Dr. Trigona in his practice. And this is how I got started with Ayurveda. I found out that he has a very big practice. He's treating hundreds of patients every day. And how can he do it? How can he talk or diagnose in such a short time? So what he was doing, he was taking the pulse. And within seconds, he could tell me, oh, I can find this and this and this in your physiology. And he was absolutely correct. And I knew that this is something I really had to learn. And it took a few more years until Maharishi and Dr. Trigona and all the other expert Vaidyas offered courses for Western doctors in the mid-80s. And I was one of the very first Western doctors who had the fortune of being trained in Ayurveda by these really great experts. And from then on, I applied Ayurveda in my family practice. First, it was very simple things like diet and oil massage and some teas and some herbs. And now it's grown and grown and grown, and it's very complex. We're offering many different therapies now in my practice, and this is how the practice grew very, very big. This meeting point of Maharishi with these Vaidyas, with his expert and leading Vaidyas, was also the start of the globalization of Ayurveda. We see nowadays that Ayurveda is not restricted to India. Even here in Europe, many people know the term Ayurveda, but many have some peculiar notions of what Ayurveda is. Many people think, oh, Ayurveda is some kind of oil massage. Many do not know the difference between aloe vera and Ayurveda. This is something we have to teach them. But Ayurveda, and this is my purpose, and this is my mission, is medicine. It's a system, it's systematized medicine. And it's a very interesting system where you can judge every medicine, every treatment you do with very basic judgment and can find a system and a line of treatment very easily. So Ayurveda had a perfect start many thousands years ago. It had many ups and downs, and it was renewed in the 80s by Maharishi Yogi. And this is why there is a school in Ayurveda called Mahariši Ayurveda. And this school aims at teaching Ayurveda in a very perfect way. So when we talk about Ayurveda, we can say Ayurveda is a thousands of years old knowledge of life. It has reliable sources and had divergent development in different areas of Asia, and had an influence on the development of medicine in Greece and in the Arabic countries. Now, through the globalization of Ayurveda, there is a great danger that Ayurveda is not practiced in a holistic way, but that some parts of Ayurveda are taken out of it and used independent from it. So we have to be very vigilant, and this is what we do in Maharishi Ayurveda. Maharishi Ayurveda, the name is for a school, and it gives reference to the Maharishis thousands of years ago, but also to Maharishi Yogi, who initiated this initiative. And it's the recovery of the original texts and the system of values of the time of origin of Ayurveda. Maharishi Ayurveda has very systematized treatments, but also offers a range of very high quality products that are tested and that are really the best India has to offer in the terms of products of Ayurveda. Maharishi Ayurveda also initiated scientific research in Ayurveda and is based in consciousness. Consciousness, intelligence. The Veda is the basis of life. It's the prime mover of life. And this is what we represent in Maharishi Ayurveda, that this prime mover of life is really taken care of. Yes, Maharishi Ayurveda also was the pacemaker for the globalization of Ayurveda and pays great importance to the holistic application of Ayurveda. Now we want to take care of the definition of health. Health is actually what we all want. And health is, there's different definitions of health. There's one from the World Health Organization. It says, health is the state of complete physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being. It's interesting that the German Catholic priest, who was a healer, Heilpraktiker, Sebastian Kneipp, he said that health is a moral obligation, so everybody needs to take care of it. It can only be attained by the active involvement of the patient. So the doctor alone can do nothing about health. The patient has to cooperate. And here we have one of the definitions of health from the Ayurvedic texts. It's from Sushruta Samhita. Here we have the translation. And in this chart you can see on top the Devanagari writing of it, the traditional Indian writing of it, the Latin transliteration, and the English translation of it. So this quote, it says, Samadosha samagnischa samatatu malakriyaha prasanat mendriyamanaha swasaitapitiyate. And this is very, very interesting. It says that health consists of sama dosha, means symmetric body energies, balanced body energies. It consists of sama agni. Sama agni means very balanced digestive fire. Not too much heat in the body, not too low heat in the body. Even distribution of body temperature and of energies in the body. And of proper nourishment of the body tissues and of proper excretion of waste materials. So these are very important physiological parameters of health. But most important, or of equal importance, is the spiritual dimension of health. And it says that a person is only healthy when mind, senses, and soul are full of bliss, are full of happiness. And this not only for 1 or 2 minutes a day, for 24 hours a day. All the time full of happiness, full of bliss. Now, how can this be attained? We know that we live in the relative, and when we have sun, we also have darkness. When we have light, we have darkness. When we have hot, we also have cold. When we have happiness, we also have misery. It cannot be on the level of duality. That is the characterization of relative life. This permanent happiness can only be attained when we go beyond this relative level of life, when we go to the basis of life. When we see modern physics has found out that beyond the field of change in life, there is a field of non-change, of complete symmetry, of complete balance. And this is what is called the pure consciousness level in the Vedic texts. This is the level that is called samhita or samadhi in different Vedic texts. It's the level of silence, of complete silence. And this has to be incorporated. Otherwise, complete health will never be possible. And this is one of the main messages of Ayurveda and of Maharishi Ayurveda, that complete health is possible, but it's not possible when we only attain to the physical level of life, when we only give importance to the physical. We also have to give importance to the soul, to the Atma, to the inner life. And then life will be complete and holistic and healthy. Now, one of the characteristic features of Ayurveda is the knowledge of the 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. These 3 are the energies that regulate all the physical activities. Vata consists of the elements of air and space. Pitta mainly consists of fire, and Kapha consists of the elements of water and earth. And these elements, these aggregates, are very dynamic, dynamically interacting among each other, and they are the structural building blocks of our physiology. And they are also the way to diagnosis and treatment of the Ayurvedic doctor. So we know that Vata energy, the energy of movement, has the role of initiating all movements in the physiology. The movement of cells, the movement of blood, the movement of thoughts, the movement of muscle activities, the movement of nerval activities, of sensory activities. So everything that moves in the physiology is moved by Vata. So Vata is responsible for movement, for communication, and also for transport of substance and of information within the body. Pitta is the fire element, and this fire element is responsible for the energy. So when we move, we also need energy to move. And this Pitta gives the energy, gives the fire to move. And this fire of movement is also responsible for our intellect, for our emotions. You know, the people who are very fiery in their emotions, very hot in their temper, in their temperature and in their temper, there's really something going on in them. So this fire is the energy for peak performance, the energy for extreme activities in life, but also the energy for metabolism, for transformation. Our metabolism depends on this fire energy. And the third element is kapha, consisting of water and earth. And this kapha is responsible for continuity in life. Vata for movement, for communication, for transport. Pitta for metabolism, for digestion, for heat processes in the body, and for transformation. And kapha for stability, for physical existence, and for continuity in life. And it's also responsible for the water balance in our physiology. Now, every one of us has a different combination of these three. Everyone has a different nose and different fingerprints and different ears, and everyone has a different combination of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And through life, through the activities of life, this, what is called constitution, Prakriti, is changed even more. So we have a very complex interaction of these three, and this is what makes life so beautiful and so different. The main activity of the Ayurvedic doctor is to give balance of the doshas on the individual level. So if there's too much heat in somebody, we have to cool him down. If there's too much cold in somebody, we have to warm him up. If there's overactivity, we have to slow him down. If there is dullness and too little activity, we have to speed him up. And this is something we can easily find through the pulse reading. The pulse diagnosis is the main diagnostic tool of the Ayurvedic doctor. And the Ayurvedic doctor, he's not acting alone. The Ayurvedic doctor, the Vaidya, he has the knowledge and he has the remedies. And the remedies are applied by the technician, and he treats the patient, who also has to cooperate very intensely. Without the cooperation of the patient, no health is really possible. So these four aspects always have to cooperate for perfect health. Now, what should be the duties and the qualities of a real doctor? The doctor should be constantly learning. He should have practical knowledge, devotion, action, perfection in personal life, which means he should be connected to the silence level of the universe. And he should have a very pure physiology. He should purify his body seasonally, like 2-3 times a year, have these purification procedures of Ayurveda, which we call Panchakarma. And he should also use the rasayanas of Ayurveda, means the remedies and activities that expand the flow of energy and the flow of life in the physiology. He should be full of compassion and friendliness towards his patient, and he needs a very unique quality. He needs attachment to those who he can remedy, and he needs indifference to those who are moving towards the end, where he cannot help anymore. But he has to give all his spiritual consort to these patients. Now, a doctor has to be somebody who a living example of health to every patient. And this is why Maharishi Ayurveda has recommendations for the doctor. Just as for every other patient, recommendations for the doctors, physical health and personal development are very important. So the doctor should practice meditation. He must be connected to silence. This is a very important thing, because only out of silence. From silence, we have the calm vision of what a patient really needs. So the doctor has to sleep enough and he has to practice meditation. He needs the herbal food supplements. He needs regular purification treatment. He needs pulse reading for his personal balance and for diagnosing the patients. And he needs adequate physical activity. He has to be strong and healthy himself, and he needs to study the Ayurvedic scriptures. What are the advantages of using Ayurveda in a medical practice? It makes the practice unique and makes it attractive to many patients. Doctors who practice Ayurveda have many private patients, and this makes the doctor independent from the public health insurance system. We find in our practice that through the application of Ayurveda, in our patients we have a massive reduction of drug expenses. Many patients come and take so many tablets every day. And after having Ayurvedic treatments, the doses and the number of medicines can be reduced in almost all the patients. And we also see a marked reduction in secondary expenses, referral to specialists, less surgery, because many solutions, health solutions, come through purification. When the blockages are removed from the system, when the energies are rebuilt, the fertile ground for disease is removed, and diseases just cannot start or can leave the body. And what is also very interesting for the doctor is that through Ayurveda one becomes a lot more self-referral. It's not that we have one scheme according to which every patient is treated and diagnosed. We have a very individual scheme of treatment. And Ayurveda is a very great expansion in the range of diagnostic and therapeutic activities. And also what we can see is a very high rate of success in treatment of patients with chronic diseases, and thereby also the doctor and patient relationship gets improved. Now I want to note here that when we practice Ayurveda, we do not dismiss modern medicine. I'm trained in modern medicine and I know how good it is in many respects, and I would not want to miss anything I know from modern medicine. And many applications are just unique and perfect, especially as far as diagnostics are concerned. So Ayurveda is not something fighting modern medicine, but giving a fence around modern medicine so that it doesn't take over completely. I think that modern medicine takes the role of primary care, but this is not really the role. Primary care is natural medicine. It's the traditional medicines of Europe, of India, of Asia that take care of prevention, that take care of treatment, of regulatory imbalances in the physiology. And modern medicine has a domain in organic diseases. When you have a heart attack, when you have a fracture, you should never see an Ayurvedic doctor or a homeopath. You should go to the clinic. And when you have a chronic disease, you can start the treatment in the modern medical sense, but you really have to watch out that you get hold of an Ayurvedic doctor, a traditional Chinese doctor, or a homeopath as soon as possible, so that something is done to remove the basis of the disease. So we are actually working towards what we call integrative medicine. the best of all, the best of modern medicine, the best of traditional medicine, the best of natural medicine. They should all be combined together for the health and well-being of patients. And in first instance, it seems, oh, this will be more cost when all this is put together. But in the end, we can save billions of euros and dollars and other currencies by applying in a combined way the different traditions of medicine. So what's the personal advantage for a doctor? It's personal development, increased intuition, rewarding relationship between doctor and patient, health-oriented action, and being a switchboard between patient and recommendations of modern medicine. Modern medicine is disease-oriented, as we said. Ayurveda is mainly health-oriented. In modern medicine, many times the slogan is survival before quality of life. We see this when we have some homes for the aged people where quality of life is very little. In Ayurveda, the slogan is high old age through the increase of quality of life. Through quality of life, health comes. Modern medicine depends very largely from pharmaceutical and technological applications. Ayurveda trusts in nature and nature's healing power. In modern medicine, many times patients are motivated through deterrence. In Ayurveda, the motivation is through knowledge and example. In modern medicine, many times, the tendency is towards maximum treatment, to maximum application of diagnostic apparels. In Ayurveda, we consult our patients towards optimum therapy and diagnosis. And this is also something that keeps us from wasting funds that could be used for other good purposes in life. Now, just let me give a quick glance on what diseases can be treated with Ayurveda in general practice. For example, gastrointestinal disorders, gastritis, ulcers, gastroesophageal reflux, irritable bowel syndrome, flatulence, chronic inflammatory bowel disease, and various disorders of liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. Dermatological disorders, for example, eczema, psoriasis, urticaria, geriatric disorders, and Ayurveda has very interesting role in the complementary treatment of various cancer diseases. In musculoskeletal disorders, we can use Ayurveda in rheumatoid arthritis, in osteoarthritis, in spinal pain syndromes. In gynecological disorders, disorders of female cycle, benign tumors, menopause, complementary therapy during pregnancy, birth, and breastfeeding. In ear, nose, and throat disorders, recurring infections, and glandular swellings. In psychosomatic disorders, anxiety, sleep disorders, emotional imbalance, burnout syndrome, mild depression, eating disorders, cardiovascular disorders, hypertension, and dycardia. And we know that still 60% of all deaths in the Western countries are from cardiovascular diseases. And these are mainly lifestyle diseases. And this is really the domain of Ayurveda to reduce hypertension and all the risk factors that lead to cardiovascular diseases. Also, very successful area of treatment with Ayurveda is the reduction of allergies and hay fever and asthma. And also, Ayurveda is very beneficial in pediatric disorders, for example, in ADHS and lymphatism. Who comes for Ayurvedic treatment to the Ayurvedic family practice? Now, the patients who come usually have education above average, income above average, and the proportion between ladies and men is about 4:1, as tonight. And there's very high motivation of patients coming to an Ayurvedic practice. Many patients are very health-oriented. They develop a close patient-doctor relationship. They are individualists, people with lifestyle of health and sustainability. Patients, we have many patients who cannot be cured by modern medicine, and patients who do not trust or criticize modern medicine, and also spiritual seekers come to Ayurvedic practices. Now, practicing Ayurveda is something with a very great variety of treatment opportunities. We have external treatments, we have internal treatments, we have sound treatments, we have intellectual treatments, we have behavioral treatments. So it's psychology, it's physiology, it's environmental science, ecology. So many things can be done in Ayurveda, and it's never a problem that the patient says, oh, I will not take these pills. There's always another treatment that we can use to bring more balance and more happiness to our patients. So studying Ayurveda is really great in the sense that we also get the knowledge of so many interesting treatment possibilities, and also so much of the knowledge of creation, how the creation works. Yes, most important in Ayurveda is pulse reading. Pulse reading is the key to understanding the patient. Pulse reading is the key to self-healing also. And you should try on your own pulse. It's very interesting. There's no two people in the universe who have the same pulse. And I remember instances when I remember a person not from the face but from the pulse. So you should you should take your own pulse. Ladies should take their left hand, their right hand, and feel on their left hand, and we always go around the wrist. And there's a little bone on the wrist. You go around from the back, not this way, this way. Other way? Yes. No. Yes, now you got it. Yes, okay. And there's a crest on the bone, and when you drop here, you find the radial artery. Did you find it? Okay. And then you just put your fingers next to each other, and you find the pulsation. Everybody got it? No pulse? Very dangerous. Now just close your eyes and enjoy your pulse. It's the swing of your life. It's the basic vibration of your life. And just by enjoying this basic vibration, this is something very healthy you can do every day. It gives some stability, it gives some inner calmness, and it gives some self-reliance. So start today. Use this pulse reading every day. Even if you're not a doctor, use it and enjoy it. So there are so many practical things. Take this information home and start taking a pulse every day and enjoy the pulse. And very soon we will find, oh, today it's very nice and calm, or today it's not, it's very restless, and then you know what to do. You need more rest. So Ayurveda is a great field of knowledge, and it's so interesting and so helpful. And it opens a completely new book of life, and it expands the knowledge you have gained till now about all the fields of life, and it gives a system to your vision. You can systematize your whole knowledge by studying Ayurveda. So if you're interested, we offer a course, we offer a series of courses on Maharishi Ayurveda for health professionals, and you will receive information about these series of courses now right at the desk, and I hope that many of you will find the opportunity to join these courses. We will learn pulse reading together, and we will learn many of the very, very interesting modes of treatment, about herbal remedies, about different massage therapies, about diet. And the interesting thing is that you're studying to treat patients, but the first patient is always yourself. So Ayurveda is not only for treatment of other people, it's mainly for self-treatment, and this is maybe why most people started medicine or any other health profession. So thank you for listening. Hope you take some interesting information home, and I'm ready for discussion. Any questions?